Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. Sorry it took a little bit to get started there. I got everything set up, and then poof, out went the old connection. But it's back now. Everything seems to be running good. Well, goodish. Tinny audio. It should not be tinny, but I think I can fix it quick. That should be better. That should be better. Sorry about the audio. I was messing around with some stuff yesterday. All right. Yeah. Now, see, I know exactly what was going on there because I was playing around with my microphone. And so I'd messed with some settings. Oh, okay. We got the links to pin here. Holy cats. Okay, so what's on the menu? What is going on over here? It doesn't matter. So we have a couple things on the menu today. Just briefly, we have the Donald Trump Manhattan criminal probe has received a major update. And it's pretty interesting stuff. I mean, well, let's just be honest about what it is. They're dropping the criminal investigation into Donald Trump in Manhattan. So this is one that's been going for quite some time. Special prosecutor was appointed to go after Donald Trump and find everything. And geez, there's totally some criminal activity, but they're just dropping it. You know, it totally is. So we'll take a brief look at that. And then we're going to do a review, react, something to Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's confirmation hearings. Particularly, I'm going to check out Cory Booker's questioning because it was came highly recommended to me from Kurt on civil law last night that I take a peek at it. So I'll do that and maybe watch another one, but probably not the longest stream today. But we will have a stream tonight as well. Tonight, I will be joined by Hogue Law. That's right. Hogue Law will be on tonight. We'll be discussing various entertainment and video game related legal issues, as well as some other stuff. But should be a fun show. Should have a nice time with that. And yeah, that's the layout. All right, here we go. TD says Nick must like Miss Jackson. He can't tell the time because he's not a clock. Late and heteroflexible as always. Yeah, that's great. Mo says VLC is the traffic cone icon, Nick. Yes, I know. I'm not sure what that would have to do with anything. VLC is not part of my streaming setup. And then DCV Titan says, hey, Nick, did you see the video on Viva clips of the EU Parliament members roasting Trudeau? Good to see. Wish he was coming from the so-called opposition to his leadership, but foreign governments doing it Nice second. Yeah, no, I did not see the Viva clip, but I retweeted a clip of the German member of the European Parliament just laying a fat one right on Trudeau. He loved it. He loved it. Prima Facie says your title is clickbaity as hell. What do you mean my title is clickbaity? There's no clickbait in the title at all. the title is descriptive of exactly what's going on. So that's weird. We should be streaming to Rumble. It should be on. Is it not running over there? Yeah, the Rumble seems to be down. I don't know why. It's very, very strange. Everything is set up to broadcast to Rumble. Says we're live. I got nothing. Oh wait, no, it says it's on. It doesn't show it on for me. Oh, here we go. There it is. Cool. All right. Now it's working. I don't know. You know what? Never mind anything. We're just going to go ahead. We're just going to go ahead. We're going to get started. All right, let's do two things quick in relation to this. Oh my gosh. Man, I came the closest to getting ratioed on Twitter today that I've ever seen. We can look at that in a second, but all right, let's look at this first. All right, check this out. This is from just yesterday. Trump, quote, guilty of numerous felonies. Prosecutor told Manhattan District Attorney as he resigned from the probe. So prosecutor resigned over the Manhattan District Attorney's decision to pause heading toward indicting President Donald Trump. Said in a resignation letter that Trump was guilty of numerous felony violations. Now, there's an update since this, which we'll get to, but I just wanted to show you where we were 2 days ago and yesterday. Here we go. One of two top prosecutors who resigned over the Manhattan District Attorney's alleged decision to stop heading towards indicting former President Donald Trump for crimes said in a bombshell resignation letter that Trump was guilty of numerous felony violations. This is Mark Pomerantz resignation letter. Let's read it. It's very short. And he sent this to Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who is the attorney in charge of that. Andrew War Snowboard says, I got a bonus at work today. So far, I've taken my mom to lunch, bought this super chat, as well as a bottle of Highland Park 18. I also have a surprise for my viewers on Twitch tonight at 8 p.m. Very cool. Very cool. Guys, check out Andrew on Twitch. All right, here we go. Dear Alvin, I write to tender my resignation as Special Assistant District Attorney and explain my reasoning for resigning. As you know from our recent conversations and presentations, I believe that Donald Trump is guilty of numerous felony violations of the penal law in connection with the preparation and use of his annual statements of financial condition, also of touching my penal. His financial statements were false, and he has a long history of fabricating information relating to his personal finances and lying about his assets to banks, the national media, counterparties, and many others, including the American people. The team that has been investigating Mr. Trump harbors no doubt about whether he committed crimes. He did. In late 2021, then District Attorney Cyrus Vance directed a thorough review of the facts and law relating to Mr. Trump's financial statements. Mr. Vance had been intimately involved in our investigation, attending grand jury presentations, sitting in on certain witness interviews, and receiving regular reports about the progress of the investigation. He concluded that the facts warranted prosecution. He directed the team to present evidence to a grand jury and seek an indictment on Mr. Trump and other defendants as soon as reasonably possible. This work was underway when you took office as district attorney. Oh, yes. It was so underway. You have devoted significant time and energy to understanding the evidence we have accumulated with respect to the Trump financial statements, as well as the applicable law. You have reached a decision not to go forward with the grand jury presentation and not to seek criminal charges at the present time. The investigation has been suspended indefinitely. Of course, that is your decision to make. I do not question your authority to make it, and I accept that you have made it sincerely. However, a decision made in good faith may nevertheless be wrong. It's wrong. I believe that your decision not to prosecute Donald Trump now and on the existing record is misguided and completely contrary to the public interest. I therefore cannot continue in my current position. In my view, the public interest warrants the criminal prosecution of Mr. Trump, and such a prosecution should be brought without any further delay. Because of the complexity of the facts, the refusal of Mr. Trump and the Trump Organization to cooperate with our investigation. Yeah, I'm sure they're very interested in cooperating. Seem to be super interested in a cooperative effort. Mr. Trump, we want to put you in prison. Please help us. And their affirmative steps to frustrate our ability to follow the facts. This investigation has already consumed a great deal of time. As to Mr. Trump, the great bulk of the evidence relates to his management of the Trump Organization before he became president of the United States. These facts are already dated, and our ability to establish what happened may erode with the further passage of time. Many of the salient facts, have been made public in proceedings brought by the Office of the Attorney General, and the public has rightly inquired about the pace of our investigation. The pace is now dead. Most importantly, the further passage of time will raise additional questions about the failure to hold Mr. Trump accountable for his criminal conduct. To the extent you have raised issues as to the legal and factual sufficiency of our case and the likelihood that a prosecution would succeed, I and others have advised you that we have evidence sufficient to establish Mr. Trump's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, and we believe that the prosecution would prevail if charges were brought and the matter were tried to an impartial jury. I'm not sure there's an impartial jury for Trump in Manhattan. I'm just saying it. I'm just saying. No case is perfect Whatever the risks of bringing the case may be, I am convinced that a failure to prosecute will pose much greater risks in terms of public confidence in the fair administration of justice. As I have suggested to you, respect for the rule of law and the need to reinforce the bedrock proposition that no man is above the law require that this prosecution be brought, even if a conviction is not certain. Oh, now it's not certain though, right? Like you're 100% believing it before, but now a conviction's not so certain. Why not? Thought you could prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. I also do not believe that suspending the investigation pending further developments will lead to a stronger case and dispel your reluctance to bring charges. No events are likely to occur that will alter the nature of the case or dramatically change the quality or quantity of the evidence available to the prosecution. There are always additional facts to be pursued, but the investigative team that has been working on this matter for many months does not believe that it makes law enforcement sense to postpone a prosecution in the hope that additional evidence will somehow emerge. On the contrary, I and others believe that your decision not to authorize prosecution now will doom any future prospects that Mr. Trump will be prosecuted for the criminal conduct we have been investigating. I fear that your decision means that Mr. Trump will not be held fully accountable for his crimes. Is that the 8th time he said that now? I have worked too hard as a lawyer and for too long now to become a passive participant in what I believe to be a grave failure of justice. I therefore resign from my position as a special district assistant district attorney, effective immediately. Mark Pomerantz. Mark Pomerantz. So this is big news for Trump, right? No one wants to be criminally indicted, and now it looks like he will not. And so here's how this works. All right. Here's how this works. The one guy, Alvin Bragg, is the new district attorney. The district attorney brings charges or brings something to a grand jury for an indictment, right? The assistant district attorneys are people like Mark Pomerantz and others. I don't really know who the Manhattan assistant district attorneys are. It doesn't really matter. They're the ones who tend to do the prosecutions. They do a lot of the evidence gathering, and what they do then is they take that and they collect all of the evidence that they've got, and they bring it before the district attorney, and they propose the district attorney will file charges. They have the charges laid out. They tell them why they think so. Here's what we're going to be able to prove at trial. Here are things that are going to be difficult that we need to overcome, whatever. And then the DA decides to do it or not. And in this case, the DA said, nope, don't see it. Don't see our ability to win. So I don't see pursuing a criminal act against Trump. Which is amazing because we've been told so often that his crimes are so manifest and obvious. Okay, and so here is the breaking news as of noon today, but I don't know that it's that breaking. I don't know that it's much different. It says Manhattan DA ends Trump investigation indefinitely and will no longer pursue charges. But that, frankly, may be the same news as we're talking about over here. So back to this, though. In the letter, he said those felonies related to this stuff. Bunch of quotes. Pomerantz confirmed the details of the letter in a call with CNBC on Thursday morning, but declined further comment, saying, I think the letter speaks for itself. Now, here's what I wanted to talk about with this. It's the way Trump is. Pomerantz. Maybe Pomerantz will get sued. Maybe Pomerantz will get sued because he's saying that Trump is guilty of all these crimes. Like, he's saying he's guilty of crimes. And if they never charge him, he's not going to be found guilty. But Trump may also just let it go, because if he sues Pomerantz, he could release the evidence in the civil suit. And maybe that's why he clearly mailed his letter out. I mean, he sent this letter off to a bunch of news agencies, right? Like, that was the goal. What the? Oh, sorry. I heard something in my house. Oh, I think my kids have a guest. Yeah, so he mails this letter out to everybody. Look, I'm resigning, and here's why. I want you guys to know the truth that he is guilty. And of course, they'll never be able to test it. And he knows he can't get him in court, so he's going to try and get him in public. 11 Bravo Crunchy says, Mr. Nick Alicious, happy Frizz Day. You should take the whole fam damnly out for a fish fry tonight. I'm still working on getting some very special vodka for you due to difficult to do at the moment because reasons. Or is it raisins? Kyle Cowden says, no trial in the pipe mean I'm having daytime Mercator withdrawals. Thanks for the fix. My daughter Sable started watching you and is laughing her head off. Shill Sable Breeze on all streaming and download platforms. Yes, Sable Breeze is a music artist, the daughter of Kyle Cowden. And she is an independent artist who's making music out here, and she is available on all streaming platforms. Again, check out Sable Breeze. But yeah, it's over. The Manhattan criminal prosecution of Donald Trump is over. And of course, they've been talking about this thing forever. This is one of the reasons they were going after the tax returns, right? Go after the tax returns. If they get the tax returns, Cyrus Vance wanted the tax returns to do this criminal prosecution. They got the tax returns. Guess what? Not bringing charges. So there you go. There you go. The walls are closing in 5 years later. Exactly. Exactly. We were told all this time Trump would definitely be prosecuted and found guilty for all of his numerous crimes. And yet, over and over again, they fail to do them. Let me be clear on something. I fully believe that Trump committed some criminal activity, because everybody does, whether you want to or not. And the more money, influence, reach that you have, the more people working for you, the more businesses you own, the more likely it is that you have committed a crime. By the numbers, it's just more activity that has potential criminality involved. And but to be clear on that, I haven't seen any evidence that Trump is particularly more criminal than anyone else. Just, the same level of general criminality that your average citizen is. Oh my God, this guy just admitted Trump is a criminal. Yeah, so are you. Basami says, did you see the Washington Post article interviewing poor Wesley Hawkins? Confirmed he is now has certifications in IT. Yes, I did. Basani, I saw, and I'll tell you why I saw it. Because some guy here, I'll show you guys. Just a second. All right, it's it's gone now, but I'll show you this. So, this is my post about Wesley Hawkins yesterday. Said, man, imagine being this guy today. Thanks, Biden. Context, description. I think this guy says, I think he's just a guy who shares the same name and general location. And my reasoning is that he was 18 when convicted, and that nearly 10 years ago, and 28 is awful old to be an intern. I could be wrong, though. If he isn't the same person, it sucks to be him, because imagine his inbox. Just to be very clear, this guy graduated the same year from the same high school as the other guy. So anyway, I said, this is almost guaranteed to be the same guy unless there were two Wesley Hawkins who graduated from the same school in DC in 2013, and both happen to be overweight black guys who look similar. Then this other guy posted a tweet here about how he posted that Washington Post article and said it was definitely not the same guy, is what he said, because he posted the Washington Post article. Definitely not the same guy. And he suggested I delete my tweet before blowing up an innocent man's life. I guess he's never heard of a suicide vest. But yeah. And so then I read the article. I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I miss? What did I miss that's in this article? The article says that he's been frustrated because he was a retail worker for a couple years before that went south, and then he went over and he interned at an IT company and received his IT certification, which is exactly the LinkedIn profile for Wesley Hawkins. Exactly the same. And it was like, that's the same guy. And yeah, so I read it and I'm like, this comports exactly with the LinkedIn profile. Retail worker for a couple years, then an IT intern. Yep, dude, it's the same guy. And then he's like, just because you couldn't believe that two people were named Wesley Hawkins. So I said, two people named Wesley Hawkins graduated from the same high school in the same year, look the same, have the exact same work history. Probably two different people, though. Probably. That's right. It's probably a different guy. Oh man. No, it's pretty sure it's him. Pretty sure it's him. Oh, and there's an update in the article. According to Wesley Hawkins, he did not reoffend in 2019. Oh yeah, you heard me. He did not reoffend in 2019. He had some specific comments about that to address that reoffense thing. He did not reoffend. He was, however, in a very dark place. He was in a dark place. And so since he was in a dark place, he looked for clothed images of boys aged 13 to 16. And when that pinged on his search history, right, because he had computer monitoring software, when that pinged on his search alerts to the authorities, they're like, yeah, you're not fine. You're not fine. You need to go to the halfway house for 6 months. So that was his technically not reoffending, because he didn't actually view child pornography this time, but broke the spirit of his probation enough that they decided to put him in for 6 months of lockup. Oh my gosh. Oh, my neck. Okay, so anyway, I wanted to give that update, and then I'll briefly show you where I almost got ratioed on Twitter. Here it is. I stand by this tweet. So here's these NBA guys walking around with these fucking tights under their shorts or whatever. And so I just said, why are men wearing leggings? That's all. Why are men wearing leggings? Look at this, 127 to 376. It's not good for me. That's kind of a bad ratio. And a whole bunch of people are like, you idiot. It's for blood circulation. It's compression gear. It's better for you. Etc. 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 Okay. I guess. I haven't watched the NBA in a long time. It was genuinely asking why these guys are wearing leggings. I had no idea. Last I watched the NBA was like a decade ago. I saw a game or something, but I don't watch it. But it turns out they're pretty common. Apparently they need to hold their vaginas in place. Fuck your compression leggings. Look, here's the deal, guys. I have a heat allergy. I cannot in my life imagine wearing something like that because I would melt. Unless you go outside, you wear uh your base layer clothes for being out in the fucking cold, maybe. I don't have any, but I know like Under Armour sells the nice base layer levels that you can put on under your jacket and snow pants and stuff. Like if I was going to go ice fishing, not in an ice house, or if I was going to go snowmobiling or something, that'd be what I'd want to wear. But other than that type of condition, for me, I would melt. And so I'm seeing these dudes in like these long leggings inside, like there aren't outdoor basketball stadiums for professionals. So I was like, it can't be cold. You're in the building, right? So it can't be that cold. So I was just confused. People were really mad at me for it. So there you go. Just wanted to provide that little update. All right, let's do this. Man, am I tired today. Who's on Friday Night Tights tonight? Oh, Melanie Mack. Melanie Mack's been making the rounds. Oh my fucking hell. Do we have the full Cory Booker thing? Okay, yeah, here we go. This is from Senator Cory Booker's webpage or YouTube channel. He has 6,300 subscribers. But this video is allowed to be a nice breakout hit for him, 152,000 views. Very wild. We made why? What do you want? Why is my phone buzzing fucking constantly? What is it? Can I turn off vibration for now? Here, I can. There. Threw my phone away. Just insane. Oh, yeah, I do. I also have a very brief update on the SWAT situation. I received a phone call today from the sheriff's department, and they don't like false police reports, so they're following up and trying to lock down, if they can, any information about the caller, which seems very unlikely. Very unlikely that they'll get any, but they do what they can do. But I was pleased to be informed that my swatting was the first one in the history of our county. So you're welcome. You're welcome. I've put you on the map into the. He's like, such a weird thing to hear. This sheriff's deputy says, I've heard of these swattings before. I've heard of these things around. Never seen one myself. And I was like, okay. So there you go. That's that. But it's good times. Emily Baker says, you are so famous. Thank you, Emily. You too. But yes, I'm just out here. Oh, I mentioned this on my local stream earlier, but I got unintentionally, maybe, insulted by a normie that I know. He comes in while I was with the family at the chiropractor's office, and comes up and he's like, "Oh, hey Nick, how's it going?" And is like, "Yeah, hey, hi." And he says, "Just want to let you know how awesome it was. I wanted to congratulate you." And I was like, "Oh, cool." Here he is. He's going to congratulate me on like having a successful show that he likes to watch or whatever. I'm here to congratulate you on making it on Tim Pool's show. Man, that is just the pinnacle. That is the peak. And I was like, really? That's congrats for making it on Tim Pool's show. Oh, I wanted to stick my hand in the garbage disposal and turn it on. Anyway. Okay, Brian Miller says off topic, but will the Joshua Zeminski trial be streamed? I have no idea. Tommy TK says, Nick, your voice is too smooth. It is putting me to sleep in the middle of the day. That or it is my lunch. Question for you. Can you define a woman? Yes. Yes, I can. He asked if I could. I can. EW says, now that he won't be able to convict that Pomeranian dude, sent out a letter to show his outrage and signal to all the Trump deranged that he needs a new job. Probably see him as a commentator on MSNBC soon. Would not surprise me at all. Rage says, toast request for my Mima, who recently beat breast cancer but was just diagnosed with non-small cell lung cancer after losing my pop 60-year marriage, a Navy veteran, to mesothelioma. Damn. Okay, well, I'm not drinking a ton on this stream, but I'll give a little toast to your Mima for sure. My grandmother on my father's side, I called Mima before she died. And because she didn't want to be babushka, I guess. It's my grandpa was the on my dad's side was the Polish side. And so his mom was babushka. But no. Okay. Here we go. To Rach, to her Mima, who recently beat breast cancer, which is phenomenal. A triumph over a nasty ailment that has claimed so many, but not this lady. Not this lady of iron will and strong constitution, was able to fend off the cancer, but has now been diagnosed with a new cancer, non-small cell lung cancer, which we pray she will beat in equal fashion and carry on and soldier on for quite a while. After losing her husband recently to his own cancer, mesothelioma, we would love to see Mima carry on the tradition of their marriage and the love that she shared for her husband and for her children and her grandchildren. So may she get healthy soon. Cheers. The Squid says, congrats on making it on Timcast. So when are you going to talk about the fourth turning or Civil War or maybe even World War III now? Not huge on those topics. Not huge on those topics. So I stick to what I know. What I know is making fun of fat people and making fun of Cory Booker. So without further ado, I didn't have the audio shared. Let's get into it.
Approaching 11 hours now of a long day.
A long
and
day.
Forgive me, I want to go back to one of my early senators.
Why does he talk like a radio host? Approaching 11 hours now and of a long day. Now, forgive me, I want to go back to what one of my other fellow senators said. He's asking you what you're doing on your commute in the morning. This is Cory Booker with WWWBA live on the only morning talk show you need in the Washington, D.C. area. This is fucking hell.
Lindsey Graham, I think he asked you something, and I'd like to just put it this way. On a scale from 1 to 10, how deep is your faith?
He went with faith. If I'm saying on a scale of 1 to 10, how deep is you better watch what comes next. But Lindsey Graham has never been known for being particularly funny. I tried to watch part of the Lindsey Graham thing, and I was just like, oh God, stop. Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham's questioning of AC. Look at this face we pops up. Let me talk. Lindsey Graham's questioning of Ketanji Brown Jackson was like, tell me about your faith. Should your faith be held against you? Well, it was against Amy Coney Barrett, a qualified woman, and it was held against her. I won't hold it against you. And I hope my colleagues will learn in the future not to hold it against other women. Tell you what, how about your love for your family? Do you love your family? I won't hold that against you. My colleagues, however, held that against Amy Coney Barrett. Having a family, it was a disqualifier for her. God, it was so weird. It was so weird. It's like, stop. This is dumb. This is dumb. Okay, so back to Senator Booker.
That I won't ask that question.
You're asking me, or
No,
you won't ask me?
I'm just joking.
Okay.
I won't ask you that, but I do want to go through some of
The question of how deep is your faith or whatever, like, don't get me wrong. It was a weird question from Lindsey Graham, not because the question was weird, but because the reasons for asking the question of Ketanji Brown Jackson, how deep her faith was to illustrate that Amy Coney Barrett was unfairly treated in his eyes by the Democrats. And I think she was unfairly treated, but come on, that's not the place for that. You've got a chance to ask this judge what makes her qualified to be on the Supreme Court. And you're grandstanding on fucking points about ACB. ACB's on the bench, man. Get over it. Stop simping. That's what made the question weird. The question itself is, look, are you a person of faith? Are you a person of strong faith? And she said, yeah, it's a big part of her life. Cool. There you go. Now you know a little bit more about the judge, what's informing some of her philosophy. Nightmare Zero says, how deep is your faith? Isn't that what the priest said moments before violating the altar boy? Lol. Gross. No. That never happened. Okay, here we go.
The things that some of my colleagues did on Top Line, and forgive me, I don't want to dwell too much, but some of it I found today just to me really didn't hold water. And I want to start with my friend and colleague Ted Cruz, who
is not your friend. Why do they do this? God, put me in the Senate, coach. Put me in. Put me in. I'm going to talk to you today about my friend, Cory Booker. A real good friend, a real bastard, piece of shit garbage, Cory Booker. I don't know why his questions don't hold water. Neither does he. Full of holes, leaking from all sides. Cory Booker. Stop calling them your friend. They're not your friend. Never were. Anyway. That fake shit annoys call him your colleague. That's fine. Your fellow senator. Call him your acquaintance. You're not buddies. Rick Nikita says, how dare you accuse a sitting senator of grandstanding? It's true. It's true. Very not thoughtful of me. Okay. Also, questions can't hold water because questions don't have a physical form to hold anything.
who is my friend. He's a Texan. One of my favorite Texans is Brene Brown's, who says it's hard to hate up close, so pull people in. And a lot of times in this culture of tribal politics, the reality is we know each other. We get to know each other over years, and I've had the privilege of working with Ted on a lot of really good policy. So I went back to my office and re-listened to his questioning of you about critical race theory.
And it was great.
And he referenced your speech, which I hadn't read. You Harvard folks are so well focused on these things, but I read your speech, and I was very surprised. Ted had a very big chart. I think he needs to give Senator Whitehouse some advice on charts. Senator Whitehouse's was very small. It was almost as if they were proportionate to their state sizes.
Wait. Did Cory Booker just call Ted Cruz's dick bigger than Sheldon Whitehouse's? I mean, not that anybody was in any doubt of this, that Sheldon Whitehouse has a small, meager, flaccid chart, and Ted Cruz is a giant, hard, throbbing chart that he dropped on the table. And Sheldon Whitehouse has little shitty charts. Everybody who's ever interacted with a Sheldon Whitehouse chart is like, oh God, his name was Sheldon. I knew all along that this was a mistake. Look at these pause faces on this fucking guy. This looks like he's squeezing out an Ethan Ralph fart. Okay, here we go. That's, by the way, this is how dead the Senate chamber is for comedy. Let's get a reaction to this big joke right here. This big joke he's got. This is what's drawing the real laughs.
Critical race theory, and he referenced your speech, which I hadn't read. You Harvard folks are so well focused on these things, but I read your speech, and I was very surprised. Ted had a very big chart. I think he needs to give Senator Whitehouse some advice on charts. Senator Whitehouse's was very small. It was almost as if they were proportionate to their state sizes. Do
you see the soy face in the background?
They were proportionate to their state sizes.
Shove it in my mouth. It's not that funny. It's not funny at all, actually. They're all dying. Cory Booker just brought down the Senate. No problem. Boom. I'll be selling out shows here tomorrow. Crusadist Viewing says, old Nicky Rackets. Old reliable St. Nick. Gonna put some coal in that Supreme Court stocking. So much that it'll get diamonds back. Ooh, yeah. It's a super dude. It's not that good of a joke.
Easy there, New Jersey.
Mr. Chairman,
We have a lot of fun here at the Senate.
I would request that my colleagues in the Democratic Party would stop interrupting me.
He
But
made a motion
talked
joke.
about your speech, and when I read your speech, there's a couple things that jumped out. First of all, he acknowledged it was a very powerful speech, very moving speech about extraordinary Black women. I have a criticism. Your mother was not in it, but I will leave that alone. But there's some things he honed in on, almost as if they seem to be accusations, which don't hold merit to me. We have a saying in New Jersey. I felt it was all hat and no cattle. And so
Very
here
New Jersey saying.
He said
that was a joke that bombed. I don't know if you noticed, because the all hat and no cattle is a Texas saying. And we have a saying in New Jersey about the Texas senator said Ted Cruz, all hat and no cattle. Oh, no one laughed at that one because it was similarly bad, but it was less obvious.
You called the woman who wrote the 1619 Project, that you called her provocative. That's not a compliment necessarily if you call someone provocative, is it?
No.
No, I mean, I think Ted Cruz is very provocative, and that doesn't mean I agree with what he's saying, his philosophy. Doesn't mean I agree with his statements. But he pointed out you also called the author acclaimed. She won a Pulitzer Prize, correct?
She did.
In journalism, so she is acclaimed.
She is.
But in nowhere are you heralding her as this is reflective of your philosophy. That's true, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I don't understand that at all. Part of his chart also was a lot of ellipses, skipping out things, but you mentioned critical race theory when you're talking about policies in general. I actually went back to that talk too, and I saw you threw everything in there. You were talking about psychology, economics, all different types of disciplines as touching upon the law. I think there was everything in there, I seem to be, except for astrology. But you understand.
But critical race theory is to the law as astrology is to the law. So you just undermined your own point there, because if the idea was like, well, you talked about a lot of stuff, psychology, sociology, all these other disciplines in regards to the law, but you didn't. You mentioned critical race theory, but it's with everything else. But you didn't mention astrology. That wasn't in there. It's critical race theory and discussions about the law belong where astrology is. It's same kids table. Go over there. Go away. We don't need you. The law is blind to such things, or is supposed to be.
Understand that was you were just listing a list of things that people could say touch the law. They weren't your philosophies at all.
Correct, Senator. And that speech was not related to what I do as a judge. That was talking about sentencing policy and all of the different academic disciplines that might relate to it.
Yeah, and then finally, we're entering an age that is surprising to me in American society, where lots of books are being banned and lots of talks about books being read. You're on the board of a private school, and you have no supervision or authority over what books the children read in a private school, correct?
Correct.
I really do appreciate that. Jumping really quickly to a lot of talk today.
What does that have to do with anything? So one of the things they do in these hearings is they conflate things that the person has no control over or whatever with they conflate. I don't know if conflate's the right word. The question is not whether or not she has control over the books that are available at the school. The question is is she okay with these books being at the school or not? That's the question. Whether she can control something is irrelevant largely to her opinion on it. And her opinion, what forms her thinking, are about to become much more important than they've been in her entire life. Because as a Supreme Court justice, she will not have a check above her. There will not be another authority to stop what she puts down in an opinion when she goes to write it. I mean, there will be the sort of collegial checks from her colleagues, right? They'll say, hey, we disagree with this point, or this is an undermined point. But at the end of the day, she'll be able to write whatever she writes, and what she writes will become law effectively. And so what she thinks about these subjects and how she processes them, how she approaches the problems, these are relevant to her judicial philosophy and the character that defines what a judge is and how they will act. That's why these matter.
About these child exploitation cases. And Senator Durbin, I think that
Congress cannot reverse what SCOTUS decides. Shut up, I can cook. They can. The only way to fully reverse what SCOTUS decides is to pass an amendment. But if the Supreme Court says that something is unconstitutional, Congress just can't rewrite the same law and put it back into practice. So that's not entirely true. Because if something was unconstitutional, it will remain unconstitutional. They may be able to write a different law that is similar but different and addresses the unconstitutional aspects of it, but they can't just override it.
actually Josh Hawley used the word attack when describing his own. So I don't understand what that point of sensitivity was. But I individual cases, and we've now heard about two. You've presided over as a judge more than 10, 15 cases?
I've presided over 14 cases that involve child sex crimes, but over my career as a trial judge, I've presided over more than 100.
Right. And cases are heavily fact specific, right?
That is true.
Did you remember all the facts of the case that Senator Hawley was?
I did not.
You did not, right. And the facts matter, right?
They do.
And
do they?
As a judge, you're looking at all
the fact that as a judge, you're looking at all the factors about why this guy was looking at kid porn. That was a fact. The fact that he distributed kid porn was a fact.
All of the facts of the case, not just what might be talked about later or what people are honing in. You have to take everything into account and make a decision, correct?
Yes, that's what Congress has required judges to do.
Right. And just to clarify that Congress thing, because again, you went to this elite law school. I went to a gritty inner city law school, Yale. So you know this better than me, but it was actually 1984 that the sentencing laws, the sentencing standards were passed down, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, it was 1984. And then later in 2000.
Hey, Justin Timberflake, name one school in America where critical race theory is being taught. Well, you can't name any schools in America because your head is shoved so far up your ass. Pussy. Try that on for size. Also, stop spamming that. Like, the only rule in this chat is don't spam. So knock it off.
2 or 3 things were updated. But that 1984 was before the internet completely. And I just want to clarify also the Booker decision.
Yes.
Could you just clarify for the record, because my mom might be watching, no relation to me whatsoever, correct?
So the Booker decision, which earlier I mentioned that I thought Justice Scalia wrote it. In fact, it was Justice Stevens.
Yes.
But Justice Scalia concurred. So he had a separate opinion, and he had written a previous decision that was very similar.
Yes.
The Booker decision made the guidelines, the sentencing guidelines, advisory.
Why? Why would the Supreme Court, joined by some of the most conservative members, why would they do that?
Well, they determined that, in essence, the Booker, that if the guidelines were mandatory, that it would violate the right to a jury trial to have jurors decide every aspect of your sentencing.
Yeah,
So,
it's just sort of the separate.
Which all of the states do this. Or I shouldn't say all of the states, but in in Minnesota, they do this. They have a judge take over the sentencing aspect, and the judge gets to make determinations about the factual record sufficient for deviating from the guidelines. So it's kind of weird.
Separation of powers, Sixth Amendment.
Yes.
This is really important.
Yes.
And so that gave judges latitude.
Yes.
Now, if you were falling out of the norm, and this is where, I've now read conservative periodicals looking at this line of attack. That's not a negative pejorative. Again, my colleague himself used it, but this line of attack on you, I've seen conservative papers, liberal papers, mainstream papers, all say this doesn't hold water. And the reason is, and again, unlike White House and Cruz, I don't have a chart. I'm uncharted. But I would like to hold this up for
Like
you.
Drake, common
You are
reference.
well within the norm nationally for going below the sentencing guidelines because of this problem where you have this incongruency that judges on both sides of the that have been pointed by people of both sides of the aisle have seen. I just want to make that very clear. You are well within the norm in the United States of America. I'm a former mayor, and one of my favorite mayor friends used to always say,
I don't want a normal judge on the Supreme Court. I want an exceptional judge on the Supreme Court. I also don't care if all of the normal judges are pedo protectors. I don't want any pedo protectors. How's that? That's what I don't want. I don't care if that's the way. If all of the other judges, all the other judges are doing it this way, therefore you should do it this way. Thomas says, sounds like Corey is flirting more than questioning.
in God we trust, but everybody else bring me data. And so the data kind of shows that you're not some outlier. And forgive me, because this is, you're not allowed to do this, but I kind of sat here and was a little insulted about the accusation that somehow this mother of two, confirmed 3 times by the United States Senate,
Mother of two, is soft on pedophilia. Lots of pedophiles have children and offend on their children, Booker. That's not a good argument.
has victim advocacy groups writing letters for you, who has child victims advocacy groups supporting you, who has presided over fact-specific cases of the most heinous crimes, that somehow the implication that you are somehow out of the norm of other federal judges that we have confirmed where these issues have never come up, who, again, I held up this chart, but the majority of the decisions, a percentage of sentences below guideline range in non-production child pornography cases, in DC, 80% of them are under the guidelines. In Missouri, 77%, in Iowa, 62%, in North Carolina, 77%, in Nebraska, 81%, and so on and so on and so forth, down to Utah, alphabetical order, 71%. And so this implication that somehow your thoughtfulness on these very dense, fact-specific cases is somehow out of the norm, to me, does not hold up, doesn't head water. And then you add that to the endorsements
Doesn't
that
head
you've
water?
gotten from folks that deal with victim advocacy groups. It is, to me, just a line of attack that it does not hold in no way for me. I'm sorry. In the totality of your career, what you've accomplished and what you've done. I just think it's unfortunate that, unlike the sort of fair arbiters of this on both sides of the aisle who've dismissed it, I appreciate the way you've sat there and addressed all of that stuff. And that really brings me to the larger implication. You talked a lot about your uncles. One of them served in Baltimore, is that right? As a police officer?
My brother was a police officer in Baltimore.
The gentleman over there?
Yes.
Who
Isn't that one of the most corrupt police departments in the country? I watched The Wire, you know. Lancelot 652 says, my God, this basic beta is trying to hook up with her. Ask actual questions or get on the wall with her, you map protector.
volunteered to serve in the United States military?
Yes.
And you have talked about that police work, right?
Yes.
I live in Newark. I love my city. If you cut me, I bleed bricks. And the nickname of our city is Brick City. Your brother and I probably understand something. The majority of murder victims in the United States of America, do you know who the majority of murder victims are?
I don't.
They're Black men. I imagine in your conversations.
Do you know who kills the majority of Black men? Corey? Who is it? What demographic kills the majority of Black men?
With your brother and your two uncles. You who patrolled some of these streets, I imagine you feel in a different way about the anguish of what many communities of color struggle with when it comes to crime. Am I right there?
You are right, Senator. It is very anguishing, and it is something that I know all too well.
And you are a person that has that same fear that many mothers have for their daughters who do go out in this world. My mom used to say, when you have a child, it's like your heart going around outside of your body all of a sudden. And I just find it hard to believe, given your law enforcement background, you're a mom, that you take any of this urgency to keep America safe. And then I see that, like, folks I know well. I've worked with the FOP. I began negotiating with them. I have to say, I thought Jim Pasco, before I knew him, it's a whole thing.
By the way, negotiating with the Fraternal Order of Police as the mayor doesn't mean that you like, oh, I worked with them. Not really. That was adversarial, homie.
Brene Brown, bring people close. At first, I thought he was an ogre. Biggest police union in the I had some tough negotiations with my police union. He and I sat down and we shared our stories. And I think we realized we were coming from the same place when we were working on police reform. FOP endorsed you, and they wrote a powerful letter. I won't read it again. The IACP, they represent the largest, that's the rank and file, the FOP. The IACP represents the bosses, the managers. They endorse you. There's another group that maybe my colleagues don't know as well as I do. It's called Noble. Do you know them?
I do.
They're the Black law enforcement organization nationally. People like your brother.
Yes.
Who love their communities.
Yes.
Who have seen, like I have, too many young men lying with bullet holes, bleeding into our pavements. These are folks who come from communities like your brother knows, where you too often see sidewalk shrines to murdered youth. I've talked to the women and men of Noble so many times.
See, this is wild because Tom Cotton asked her if we should catch and convict more murderers, and she couldn't answer the question. Because he mentioned that roughly half of murders go unsolved, something like that. And he's like, so should we be working harder to catch and convict murderers? She's like, I can't comment on that. But she knows Cory Booker's telling her there's bloody bullet holes coming out of him in the streets. Crusadist Viewing says facts are racist. Come on, let us bully you into ignorance. It's for your own good. We swear. And Thomas says you think he yodels in his free time. What?
Anybody ever accuse them of being soft on crime? But they understand the complicated factors of crime in our country. And what they have to say to you about you, I won't read it, is just beautiful. Law enforcement family, mother of two, law enforcement organization after law enforcement organization, victims advocacy organizations after victims advocacy organizations.
Pound the table.
Republican appointed judges, Democratic appointed judges. That's who's in your corner. We're politicians. We have a sworn oath right now. I've just watched you with dignity and grace field what I can only imagine is behind those questions, is this doubt that is being sown. I just want America to know that when it comes to my family's safety, when it comes to Newark, New Jersey, or my state, God, I trust you.
God, I trust you.
I trust you.
I trust you.
Now, I brought in your mother, and I have to go back there. My mom has a saying that is awfully embarrassing when she talks about me. She says, she'll introduce me and she'll say, behind every successful child is an astonished parent. But there's something about your mother looking at her is that she doesn't seem all too astonished. She seems like almost just very slyly she knew that a day like this might come. And so I just want to share with you that I have done a lot of hiring.
I've done a lot of hiring. I've hired a lot of people. Crispy Ginger says, cringe. The more I watch these hearings, the more I want to go live with the Amish.
Before I was in a legislative body, I ran New Jersey's largest city. And I could write a book about all the management mistakes I made in my first year and how it made me a really good manager. And the first mistake I made was I was just looking for the most talented, credentialed, skillful, smart people to help me run things. And I soon learned it wasn't enough. I made some mistakes in hiring. And I began to see that those skills, which you have a tremendous amount of, it's been said so many times.
So hiring her would be a mistake.
Stacking you up against other Supreme Court justices, you have more qualifications, more credentials than many of them. But I learned that you should hire first. That's necessary credentials, but not sufficient. That you should hire for character. That's what made me hire a great team in Newark eventually. And we operated so well. And so I believe I've gotten to know your character over these
Cory
weeks,
Booker, best mayor in history.
I want America to know a little bit more about your character right now. And so I know my values. Booker T. Washington said it. James Baldwin said it. Children are never good at listening to their elders, but they never fail to imitate them. If I want to know your character, you haven't let me do this yet, but I want to hang out with your parents a little bit. And so let's draw them into this conversation. We won't swear them under oath, but just could you share with me what are their bedrock values that are most a part of your values now that you hope and pray are your grandchildren's, unborn grandchildren's values? What are those most important values you inherited from those two folk over there?
Thank you, Senator. I inherited a number of bedrock values, as you say, from
what
my
are
extraordinary parents.
I hate how she
As
answers
I mentioned,
questions.
my parents grew up in a time in this country in which Black children and white children were not allowed to go to school together. They persevered. They were the first in their families to go to college, to have that chance. They each went to historically Black universities, and they taught me hard work. They taught me perseverance. They taught me that anything is possible in this great country. And I think it came, as I said in my introduction, from the sea change that we had in this country from the 1960s when Congress passed 2 Civil Rights Acts and African Americans finally had the chance to become a part of the dream, become a part of the fabric of this wonderful nation. My parents moved to Washington, D.C. because this is where it all started for them in terms of having new freedoms. And I was born here on that hope and dream. I was born here with an African name that my parents gave me to demonstrate their pride in who they were and their pride and hope in what I could be.
And it seems to me, as a guy whose parents came here and you and I both were born here months apart, I would hear my parents' tough stories at the dinner table about facing bigotry. Here in the city, my father told me stories about his early jobs but I never noticed a hint of bitterness or that hate he saw never generated hate with him. In fact, he just loved people, all people.
That is correct, Senator. And I would
Wait,
say
what?
that my wonderful parents went on to become extraordinary public servants. They had new opportunity. They could have done, other things, but each of them decided to give back to the community. My mother was in the public school system. She was a teacher and then became an administrator, became the principal of a magnet school for the arts in Miami, a new school
Okay,
that
I
had
trust
started
this
up
zero.
and became the sort of beloved principal of New World School of the Arts. And so many of her students continue to see me, meet me, and they know me from my mother, which is fantastic.
And she had diverse students.
She had extraordinarily
And she
diverse-
loved on all those children.
everyone,
Black, white,
All of them.
Asian.
everyone.
Everyone.
Well, let me ask you this, because
None of those little shits were bad.
Again, I have some people I really respect on the other side of the aisle, and they do. My friends and I talk about religion sometimes. Faith is important. I was teasing Lindsey, Senator Graham earlier, but I don't want to ask you anything specific about your faith except for this, because you brought it up in your opening statement. And I have to tell you, I don't think Black women have any providence over struggle. People from all backgrounds in America struggle. But I do know often as the trailblazing Black women, they have often faced many challenges being the first or being a trailblazer or breaking glass ceilings. But I know on your journey to this moment right now, you have faced very tough moments.
Pretty sure he just called Black women vandals who are out here breaking glass ceilings. If you have a glass ceiling broken by a Black woman, you may be entitled to financial compensation. That's all I'm saying. I mean, you can't go around breaking ceilings. People have. That's inconsiderate. Very rude. Very rude. Judo Cricket says, dang, if only the new Halo show had acting as good as Spartacus here. And then Kingslayer Damocles says, literally all of those cheese pizza judges should all be on the wall. Just because she should too doesn't mean she should get a pass. I agree. Her answers on the child pornography stuff are not satisfactory to me.
Probably you've been knocked down by life. I always say if America hasn't broken your heart, you don't love her enough. You've been heartbroken by something, circumstance.
That's going back to the Michelle Obama thing that she'd never been proud of her country until they elected Barack or whatever. But if you haven't had your heart broken by America, you don't love her enough. So if America's been good for you, then you aren't the patriot I actually am. DCV Titan says, behind every child is an astonished parent, likely astonished and thinking, how'd this little fuck up manage to pull this off? I know them and they are way too stupid to have done this properly. Well, yeah, that's the joke. I mean, parents see the good and the bad. They see everything about their kids. They see all of this stuff. So they're like, well, I remember when you used to shit in the living room.
You've been like Zora Neale Hurston, who says, I've been through sorrow's kitchen and I licked out all the pots. You've been like Langston Hughes to that poem, Mother to Son, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. Could you talk to me maybe about one moment or what you do when you get knocked down like that? Where do you get the grit and the guts
I'll get knocked down, but I'll get up again. Ain't never gonna keep me down.
Well, Senator, I think that too is something that I learned from my grandparents, who, as I said, didn't have it easy. My grandparents, who didn't have a lot of formal education, but who were the hardest working people I've ever known, and who just got up every day and put one foot after the other and provided for their families and made sure that their children went to college, even though they never had those opportunities. I reflect on them in the context of this historic moment. I stand on the shoulders of people from that generation. And I focus at times on my faith when I'm going through hard times. Those are the kinds of things that I learned from my grandmother, who used to have those family dinners and bring us all together. And I think that's a common experience of Americans, that when you go through difficult times, you lean into family and you turn to faith. And that's part of my experience as well.
It's, I think, the experience of my colleagues and I on both sides of the aisle, leaning on that faith and that family.
Yeah.
I want to
That's our
give you,
experiences.
there's one thing about your opening statement, and I have to say, I haven't actually shaken your husband's hand yet, but yesterday I was mad at him because when he started tearing up at your remarks about him, it triggered, I don't really have it, but it triggered a sympathetic cry in me as well.
Nobody on earth believes that you're not a crier, Corey. You almost cried 5 minutes ago. Speaking of criers, look at this guy.
Well, so I'm a little upset at him, but I will deal with him individually. But you said something that I found provocative, to use that word one more time. And I felt afterwards, I reflected, I even talked to my staff about it because I thought that statement, it didn't seem congruent to me. And it was, I don't know if it was a profession of humility or overly critical of yourself. But I want to end in my last 5 minutes giving you space to explain yourself to me, because much to my mom's chagrin, I am not a parent yet. And I'm looking at somebody that I admire.
Oh, the white guy behind her who keeps laughing is her husband. That is her husband, Dr. Patrick Jackson. So there you go. He's now a gastrointestinal surgeon.
But you said something that struck me, because look, my mom was a working mom, and God, it was tough.
God,
my colleagues will not believe this, but there was a time I was very melodramatic, and I was in a bathtub of oatmeal bathtub, and my mom was getting ready to go on a business trip, and I look at her with these sad eyes, and I say, "Mom, if you leave me, I'll die." And she looked at me, knowing that you don't die from the chicken pox, but I still remember her going to the phone, having a long conversation, taking off her business suit and changing into her sweatpants. She would tell me later that that was not a sign of love. She loved me, but a lot of women who love their kids can't stay home because we don't have paid family leave in this country. So you said in your opening remarks that you haven't been as good of a parent, I think, if I'm paraphrasing right, as good as a mom as you'd like to be. And I looked at your two girls, and I look at you, and I don't understand that statement. Could you maybe explain for me
please tell me
what
how
you
good
meant,
you are?
and maybe take one more beat and explain to me what it means to you to be a mom of two young women growing up in America today?
Thank you, Senator. What I said in my statement was that that I had struggled, like so many working moms, to juggle motherhood and career. And
by the way, one of the subheadlines about her husband was that he had been weeping through the entire proceeding. And all of the soy in the room erupted. I mean, can you never let me described as weeping through anything?
it takes a lot of hard work to become a judge, to do the work of a judge, which I've done now for almost 10 years. You have a lot of cases. You don't have all that many resources, comparatively speaking, and it's a lot of
Really?
early mornings and late nights. And what that means is there will be hearings during your daughter's recitals. There'll be emergencies on birthdays that you have to handle. And
You're literally describing every working class job in the fucking country. Like, I had to miss some of my kids' activities. Oh, man. Wow. God. How did you do it? How did you manage that one? P-Dog Knight says, is this the part where Cory Booker shoots his wad? Lancelot652 says, Cory, stop lying to your mom and come out of the closet already. Whew. I mean, it's just... Again, anybody who's a parent who's had a job and has kids, being a parent, I guess, so a parent with a job, you know the struggle. Like some of the times you're going to have to miss something. You're going to be somewhere. You're going to have something you have to do. An emergency is going to come up. It's part of being in the working class, middle class, upper middle class. The employed class has to deal with these issues.
I know so many young women in this country,
not just women, lady,
especially who have small kids who have these momentous events and have to make a choice. You talked about your mom making the choice to make sure that she cared for you in that moment. And there are times when obviously you have to care for your family members. There are other times when there are events that you wish you could be a part of, but here's the emergency case that you have to deal with. And so I said in my opening that girls, you've had to deal with me juggling motherhood and job responsibilities, and I didn't always get the balance right. And so I would hope for them seeing me, hopefully you all will confirm me, seeing me moved to the Supreme Court, that they can know that you don't have to be perfect in your career trajectory and you can still end up doing what you want to do, that you just have to understand that there are lots of responsibilities in the world and that you don't have to be a perfect mom, but if you do your best and you love your children, that things will turn out okay.
Well, I'm sure your mom probably feels she wasn't perfect, but things have turned out okay. And I will tell you this, I'm sure they've said it, and if they haven't, I'm sure they will. The older I get, the more I appreciate my parents. I know they're proud of you, but as a guy who does have faith, and I sit at home in a room of my ancestors where I have generations of my ancestors' pictures up, and they're black folk and white folk. I have a very interesting family tree. I sit there to feel my ancestors.
Were you a slave owner, Cory?
I hope right now, in this questions and blistering, that you know that at that desk there are a whole lot of spirits around you with their hands on you. Not only your children, your parents proud.
They keep a fucking haunted desk in the Senate? Somebody get a priest up in there.
But so are your ancestors.
If a priest walks through the door of the Senate, though, they light on fire. They combust. So it's probably not safe.
Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Okay. Oh, my gosh. That was SimpFest 2022. Holy shit. I mean, we knew, of course, that's going to be a big, that this is going to be a circle jerk, right? For Cory Booker and her. Like that should be obvious that that's going to be the case there. I was kind of thinking of watching another one, but when I set up the stream, I forgot that Friday Night Tights is on. And I don't know if I want to keep overlapping their show Too much. Too much. Wait, round 2 is even more cringe. There was another one of Cory Booker. Oh my God. No. Radioactive llama pajamas. Oh, wait, shit. Tyler Williamson says, don't sit there talking about missing moments as a judge's thing. I deployed when my son was 2 months old. I hate when regular working jobs pull this shit, especially when they minimize how hard it is for fathers. Radioactive llama pajama says, as pathetic and cringe as Booker was on this day of the hearing, you need to review Booker on day 3 is so much more saccharine and fake, ridiculous grandstanding monologue. I don't think he asks a single question. Oh, I don't know if I could do another Cory Booker. Yeah, it's another 20 minutes. No, not today. Not today. I can't do it. I can't do another 20 minutes of Cory Booker. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to read super chats and wrap up the show for the daytime here. We'll keep it kind of short and sweet. Tonight is going to be Hogue Law. He will be on, and we'll be talking about a bunch of subjects that are not Ketanji Brown Jackson. We're not going to do more of this. But yeah, I didn't mean to overlap Friday Night Tights as much as well. So I want to make sure people can go pop over and see that show. So let's do the chats and then wrap up. Over on Rumble, Nova 902 says, can we do the fat Kim Potter 2.0 case? Fat woman falls down and shoots black man. Wait, what? I haven't seen that. That sounds very good. That sounds great. El Gonzo 1000 says, why is this imbecile just allowed to fillet her? This is 100% fucking meaningless fluff. God, I hate the retards that vote for retards. One thing I will say, though, there was some of this with ACB on the Republican side as well. Some of this with ACB where they came out and they just talked about the value of whatever and had no questions for it, and it was meaningless. I guess it's hard to ask good questions when you agree with everything a person says or does, right? But yeah, this is a little bit much. But Darth Vader 1776 says Booker makes Brian Stetler almost look straight. Damn. Did we get this one? Yeah. Whew. Let me give some closing thoughts on this though. This chick is almost guaranteed to be the next Supreme Court justice when Breyer finally goes away. Almost guaranteed. She's going to get confirmed. Manchin's going to vote for her, he said. There's going to be plenty of Republican support. It's going to happen. So get used to it. Get used to having her on the court. It'll be interesting to see what her decisions are. I mean, there's not much you can do about it. So now all we can do is wait to see what the results are going to be of that. But yeah, she's basically going to be confirmed. There's not much. The Republicans have confirmed that they're not going to boycott the vote on her. So without that boycott, it's a matter of time. So that'll happen. Clarence Thomas is out of the hospital. Although they're now mounting quote unquote ethics concerns about Clarence Thomas because Ginny Thomas, his wife, allegedly was involved in some effort to overturn the election in some way. I don't know what that means. I don't know what extent the involvement was or what the effort was or anything like that. But there's some people who are now very, very mad about Ginny Thomas. They've always been mad about Ginny Thomas, by the way. They hate Clarence Thomas. They hate him, and Ginny Thomas is hated by extension. So but that's going on. How dare he not recuse himself from these matters? And the funny thing is, so they're critical. They say that Clarence Thomas should have recused himself from any of the election lawsuits. Clarence Thomas didn't do anything with the election lawsuits. Like he didn't like rule on any of them in a positive way. So positive way for Trump, to be clear. So what the hell? How did his perceived conflicts impact anything there? I don't see it. Okay. All right, on to the super chats. Gaspy 1005 says, start late, bad audio. What are you good for, Nick? Absolutely nothing. Huh. Good God. Projects Done Poorly says, Nick, Vito is fat. That is all. That's true. No lies detected. Salt A, Cory Booker is secretly on the down low. I agree. Omnoids Void, I can't do Cory Booker's second speech on day 3 right now. Maybe over the weekend, or maybe I'll do a short video on it, but I can't do it right now. Pam Ronning says, tell me Booker isn't high. Laughing Dog says, awesome lawyer, billable hours, skills, Nick. My sound, links. Oh yeah, Rumble, something, lol. Faceless Man says, a prosecutor who declares anyone guilty before a trial is directly attacking the Constitution. Innocent until proven guilty. Disbar the prosecutor. John Cook says, it sounds like SCOTUS appointee's worst mistake is being snowed by a sociopath who fooled a lawyer and a psych also. If that's a person's fault and not a foible, does it even matter? She presides over criminal cases on SCOTUS. If it is a foible, do I care if justice is soft on crime? You don't preside over criminal cases as the Supreme Court justice, but you preside over cases which will impact how criminal law is done. For example, the reason that the sentencing range for sexual assault cases, for sexual misconduct cases, the reason that that range is considered unconstitutional is because the Supreme Court decided it was. And it's not clear. It's not like an obvious decision. Oh, yes, this is obviously unconstitutional. No, they chose that. They said that Congress wrote this law and we disagree. So there you go. That's why it matters. That's why her entire judicial perspective matters. She may not be hearing the direct cases, but she's hearing the highest appeal of these cases. So get it right. Dean Domino 25 says, glad to catch a stream live, Rackets. Think Lou Laveau messaged you over Discord about doing another stream together. I enjoyed last time you did it. He did. He would like to be on a stream with Drexel, which I would be happy to arrange so long as Drexel's cool with it, which he usually is. But I don't know when Drexel's coming out next. So yeah. Steve H says, investigators arrested, executed, Patriots in control. Next, the Dragon's Treasure says, Jackson was the judge for the Pizzagate shooter, gave him, who didn't actually hit anyone, 4 years. The Pizzagate judge, tinfoil hat time. Me 04120 says, the old bad headspace defense, Jarbo. Slade suggestion, OFC Cassandra Dollar charged with voluntary manslaughter. Police activity has a full dash cam and it's a shit show. First 5 minutes are most relevant. Very unfit officer with a terrible history. Oh, OFC is Officer Cassandra Dollar. I'm not familiar. Dieter Andrew says, because they're not allowed to wear fishnets. Catherine Ruck says, when your leggings stream happening, I gotta redesign them. and then I'll have to get them delivered. So that'll take a little bit, but working on it. Saltus Maximus says, got here late. Any update on the Redondo Vaught trial? I don't know, but Kurt Uncivil Law has been playing catch up, streaming that trial. The Engaged Few says compression stockings help prevent blood clots by improving circulation. AD says Legal Eagle out with another opinion. Oh, shit. A non-hamster says, my son is watching with me and wanted to super chat to say hi. Love your show. Hey, thank you. A non-hamster, and also hi to your son. Lamb Chop says, to paraphrase an old Trump joke, she could pull out a projectile throwing device and use it on someone in the middle of the proceedings and still get approved. Skeleton says, just showed up, wasn't able to listen to the start of the show because of work. Have I missed anything major? Yes, everything happened at the start of the show. Lieutenant Hughes says, congrats for making it on Tim Pool. Deserved. Skeleton just got filled in reading the chat. Hope that you and your family is okay, dude. Yeah. Oh, no, we're fine. Swatting is what happens when sociopaths get too much internet access. Hope they find out whoever did it. God bless. Yes, everything with that is fine. That was over a week ago. I don't remember exactly when. And everything was okay at the time. Police handled it very professionally and in the way that you should handle it. G says, a bit ago, you gave me a toast for accepting my first big girl job. Well, today I passed the rigorous licensing exam. Maybe the toast is good luck or I'm a good guesser. Either way, thanks. Cheers. Hey, cheers to you, G. May it bring you much money and fulfillment. AI says Democrats defend critical race theory while simultaneously denying it. He also says every Supreme Court seat is important. Or no, JD says every Supreme Court seat is important. Steel Wrath says, when do they ask her if she knows how babies are made? They won't do that. Blah, blah, 9877. Just sending you some cash as I haven't been able to catch a live stream in a long while. Thanks for torturing yourself for our entertainment. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. It is de-winded my sails. DCV Titan says, I hope a different justice token gets confirmed. Nope, this is going to be the one. Almost undoubtedly. Okay. Bad Weather Biker says, how does she know they were her uncles if she doesn't know what a woman is? Good question. Joe K, thanks for the donation. $13.52. I feel like 13.52 might be a thing. Outlaw 2 says, I don't care who supports you, what your immutable characteristics are. I care that you are/have been soft on morally reprehensible crimes, Judge. JD says, more fake cry in the voice, please, Senator. AI says, I can't help but see Keegan Michael Keys in this guy, and I can't take him seriously. Yeah, he does look like Key from Key and Peele. Or is it Peele? I think it's Key. I think it's Keegan. Contrarian 420 says, unwatchable, even with good commentary. Nightmare Zero says, even Papa Palpatine is a better Senate than these clowns. Hey, welcome to Paralegal Status. Network Nosedive says, both Booker and Jackson are akin to an algorithm attempting to replicate sincerity. Bad Dragonite says, look, if you dislike her record, you're just racist, even if you're a black man, Nick. AP779 says, Lamau Black Ceiling. A Carson 87 says, why put cheese pizza judges on the wall? It's too quick of a send out. Make it nice and slow. Walton says, hashtag backdoor Booker. ID Crisis says, behind every successful child is a parent losing faith in society. Nailed it. There you go. Pam Ronning says, Booker's third day is better. He's really high. Oh, shit. Well, maybe I'll do it on another stream. Night of Knee says, child porn victims need justice, not platitudes. Look, they were only looking at a little bit of it. Come on now, bigot. Ogonzo says, how long will this kitty cat be filleting her for? 30 minutes. Heimalto says, what are fathers? That's what fathers are for if you can keep them. Niborno says, how does she know her girls are girls? Impossible, right? Marmer132 says, please, Judge, tell me more how perfect of a career choice you made. Also, what do you make annually compared to the average middle working class citizen? I believe the starting salary for a district court judge is $186,000 a year, something like that. For 9 years or so. So probably a little over 200K a year. Daryl 90210 says, when she retires early, it's because scandal, wanted title, not work, poor pay, racism's not as much power as I hoped. XSSFD132 says KGB will be confirmed, but the bad thing is she's going to be there for 25 to 30 years. Oh yeah. Long time. Very long time. What the? Ashley Babbitt says, Matt Gaetz is under criminal investigation for child rape and you support him. Where did I support Matt Gaetz? I actually did a video about how bad his answers were when the investigation first came out. A bunch of people were pissed off. Get your facts right, you stupid bitch. And I know, by the way, calling you a bitch, that you're a guy with the Ashley Babbitt name because you're pretending to be a woman, because that's what you want to be. So, why don't you just carve the vagina into yourself already and crawl inside it? Okay, back to this. Greg McCormick says, to the dumbass who asked what schools are teaching critical race theory, go to Libs of TikTok and watch these endless clips of teachers talking about how they subvert the system and push the tenets of critical race theory. QB says, congrats on making it on to Timcast. Very cool. Also, did you hear that Kentaro Miura died? No, who's that? Osborne says, can we just go back to something like the Articles of Confederation? No, we cannot. And you actually probably don't want to be under the Articles of Confederation. Did not work very well. Bad Dragonite says, Nick is a senator. All right, let's read super chats. 100%. Shut up, I can cook says, Michael Maloney, self-defense bar murder trial upcoming. Stream it, please. If you want me to stream a trial, you got to send me an email or something with the details. I don't know if that's going to be like, I don't know when it is, where it is, like, I've now just got a name. I don't know if it's going to be broadcast, what dates they are. We'll have to see. Hey, y'all says, when's the vote / which Republicans will probably vote yes? Most of the Republicans, I think, are going to vote yes. I could be wrong, but I think we're going to be over. Kurt said over under is at 54 total votes for her. I think we're well over 54. P-Dog Knight says, let's do a live from Nelson Brothers someday. We'll talk. Are you in what, Clearwater or whatever, Annandale? You in that area? I love Nelson Brothers, man. Good pie, good sandwiches, decent donuts. Slade, where to find your email? In the description of this video and basically every live stream video. It's there. Scarocon, I know Kentaro Miura is the creator of Berserk, and I know he died last year. The running gag is that on the day that Kentaro Miura died, the way live streams work is people kind of come in and leave, throughout the show, because not everybody can sit for 3 straight hours to watch something. So as people kept filtering in on the night of his death, everybody who came in is dropping, Kentaro Miura just died. Do you know Kentaro Miura just died? And then for like days after that, people are popping in. Oh man, Nick, did you hear Kentaro Miura died? So that's the running gag. DOMW4R says, in these trying times, remember that from iron cometh strength, from strength cometh will, from will cometh faith, from faith cometh honor, from honor cometh iron. Rackets is the unbreakable law tuber. May he forever be so. Iron within, iron without. There you go. Thank you. Okay, guys, I think that's going to be the show for today. It's a short one, but remember we have a Tonight show at 11 p.m. Central with Hogue Law. We'll be discussing various entertainment and video game law topics and some non-law topics as well. We'll be hopefully having some fun, kicking around some good ideas and having good conversation. So come check that out. I very much like Hogue Law. One of the topics we'll be talking about is Dr. Disrespect versus Twitch, which was recently settled, what we can and can't draw from those settlement conclusions and all of that stuff. Anything for Selena's, says Cassandra Dillard, Chonky Femme Cop, crazy dash cam footage. Yep. That I see that. I'll look it up. And see what's going on, but I'm not going to play it right now. We're going to wrap up the show and then, we'll talk very soon. Ken's counseling couch says Ken Jennings is the only heterosexual mod, which is not true because all mods are gay. It's just the way. All right, guys. We'll catch you hopefully tonight on YouTube. If you need something to watch, go check out Friday Night Tights over on my friend Nerdrotics channel. Good group of guys. And also Melanie Mack, who is a game journalist or something like that. So go check that out and see what they're up to. Until tonight, I bid you farewell. Peace.
Oh, he drinks a fair bit, but you realize that it just helps get his noggin jogging along. With his glass by his side and his kids asleep tight, we'll hear some lost-plaining tonight. With his microphone muted, we'll laugh at this boomer until he explains it's all part of the plan. Watch his face become redder as he becomes meta, raging at idiots from Twitterland. From the white shores of Maine to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, his lady is fair, and she handles herself with the grace of one who has borne many children. As the wife of a lawman, she makes sure that he has the time and the place to provide for them there. So pour out an Ardbeg, a Balmore, a Lubroy, the spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear lost-plaining tonight. From the white shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, the guests are all plentiful, from Doug T to Drexel. They bring their perspective and spice to the mix. But the reason we're here and the one that we cheer is the one who is showcasing us his career. Get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear lost-plaining tonight. From the white shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the